And if you are watching this on YouTube, we've been doing Discord before. We're trying to experiment with the best way to be able to engage with as many people while also like hopefully having people on video so we can get to know each other. So we're going to keep refining things and excited to be able to see everyone's faces. It's really fun.
Yep.
So we have a bit of an agenda today. And as you've noticed, we're changing things up a little bit from last year. We did some planning to figure out how we can like provide the most value and sort of have each call be high signal and low noise and like and really just facilitate the best discussions. So we are going to be shifting to a monthly cadence now instead of bi-weekly. And we are going to do a little bit more work in advance, sort of planning specific agenda items and inviting particular guests that are working on stuff in the space that would be interesting to share with everybody. Our general focus is still staying on the UX of staking and lowering the technical bar, as well as promoting the health of the beacon chain. But we're going to do a sort of a higher level focus on not just like multi-client GUIs, which was our primary focus before, but sort of all sorts of different things that'll enable that. So today we have a super awesome group of people that's going to present. Before I do that, I just want to shout out to a few folks that you probably recognize that make this call possible. Remy is sort of my co-lead here.
Hello, everyone.
He is awesome. Super glad he's here. Hey, Remy. Superphiz, as you mentioned, or recognize him from the eStaker community. He's going to do some talking about why the UX of staking is important. And Vetica is the man behind the scenes running all the OBS for us going forward. And he was the mastermind behind the awesome starting sequence. So super excited to have him. I see a bunch of other familiar faces, the Stereum team. James, of course, good to see you, Paul, and others. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just like kick right into it. Anybody have any questions before we get started?
I think we're good, right? Let's get going.
Let's do it. If anybody's watching along on either YouTube or I guess in this Zoom chat or on Discord or whatever, drop any questions either in the Stakehouse channel on the eStaker Discord, Zoom chat, or YouTube chat, and we'll do our best to answer. This is also meant to be interactive.
Yeah, I'll be trying to monitor all those chats to make sure we have any questions. We'll try to answer them.
Remy has like a triple split brain. He can do everything. Sweet. All right. So first thing, I'm going to actually pass it off to James. James is from the Prism team, if you don't recognize him from before. And he's going to talk about updates around the API, standardized API for key management and a few other things. So James, why don't you tell us all about it?
Yeah, thanks, Colfax. So I'm going to give some general updates on the progress the client teams have had around the key manager API standards. I'll post a link to the GitHub after this call, and then I will pass it off to Joaquim. I'll introduce him briefly, but he can go over all the details of the cool things that he's been doing. So the good news, everybody, the key manager API standards, which in terms of MVP was trying to provide a native way to onboard and offboard from validator clients. So a way to import keys and sort of export keys with your slashing protection natively in all the clients. Right now, Prism is the only one that supports a UI, and we are able to do that because we had a REST API in front. But now we've sort of worked together amongst the 5 client teams, and we're standardizing on the APIs to, at least for the validator keys, to import them and then export them. So the really good news is Prism has sort of our beta version out in production. You can actually try it out based on the spec, as well as Nimbus. So Nimbus is also recently, with their latest release, they've released these 3 endpoints. And Teku, Lighthouse, and Lodestar are coming very soon. So they've been working on it. They've been testing it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm so excited to hear this. This is going to make it so much easier to build, UIs on top of this stuff for cross-client stuff and everything. So this is super cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. This is in terms of native support. So in terms of running it locally, it'll also provide the community a way to host their own UIs in front of these validator clients. Now, there is some caveat to this, and we'll add some of these points into the GitHub. For example, some of these validator clients will do things a little bit differently. Prism has this concept of a Prism wallet, and so there are a few little aspects outside of the APIs to get it to work. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Now, we did not want to only attack this problem from one end. So this is also going to be related to some of the work that Joaquim worked on, but 3 new endpoints. So we already had 3 endpoints. We're proposing 3 new endpoints. So DAppLion, again, took the initiative to propose 3 new endpoints for remote signer APIs. Now, for institutions and other types of systems that interact with our validator clients, perhaps they don't want to store their validator keys with the validator client itself, and they need a remote signer. So we are providing the same 3 endpoints on that, and that's part of the work that Joaquim worked on. But as part of this, in order to keep things safe, each of the validator clients will set the public keys on their validator client, even though their keys are actually stored in the remote signer. In order to update this, we would like to provide 3 new endpoints to each of the validator clients so that we can update this list of public keys so that the remote signer can choose only those keys to sign with. So that's the proposal, and I know Teku and Lighthouse, I believe, has started work on it. Prism has not started work on it, but we'll get to it soon, because we are actually working on Web3 signer support. So right now, not all of the validator clients support the Web3 signer from consensus, but we will support that very soon. So for Prism, big update is really trying to get to the end of January date to support Web3 signer. I think those are the big updates, high-level updates for the Key Manager API standards, and I'm going to turn it over to Joaquim, who is an Android tech lead at Twitch, previously at Twitter, awesome contributor, and he's been doing a lot of awesome work with the client team. So I'll let him talk about some of the work that he's done.
Thanks, James, and hey, everybody. So yeah, I'm Joaquim. I do work at Twitch. I'm an Android developer, although that might be changing soon. Little teaser there. Follow me on Twitter for news. But yeah, I just kind of stumbled upon this group, I think through Twitter, actually. Someone was asking like, hey, does anybody know Java? We need help on this little thing to help with the merge. And so I was like, I'll help with the merge. I know Java. And one thing led to another, and here I am. And so basically, I've been helping out on the Web3 signer implementation of the Key Manager API. And that's going to be really important because, as Jim said, like any validated client can instead delegate that work to a remote signer, and Web3 signer seems to be a pretty popular one that is pretty robust and well respected. And so once the API is fully finished there, basically you could have Web3 signer as your signer and then switch to any client really, really easily and have even a little UI to that without having to deal with command line or anything like that. So that's what I've been working on. The Web3 signer work has been, is well on its way to be done. It was a big chunk. Like I have a running branch with a lot of changes, and to help out the consensus folks to review in a timely manner, I've tried to break it down into little pieces. And I'm basically, I want to say 3/4 of the way done. And right now, the thing that's in review is the delete flow. So we have a list to like show all your public keys to whatever you're connected to, import to add new ones, and then the delete flow to delete some. And then there's a bit of a authentication thing that we're going to have to work on as well. So that's the last two pieces that are missing Web3 signer. And in the meantime, I've been working on the little UI, so I can show that right now. So this is just a quick like React app that I built that is connecting to, and let me zoom in a bit maybe so you can see better. Is connecting to my running Web3 signer instance right now. But this could be any validator client or another remote signer of your choice that implements this standardized API. This is why it was so cool to see that kind of the community gathered together. Let's just standardize things so we can all talk to each other. And little side note from someone coming from the outside, it was so amazing to see all the clients, kind of main contributors work together on this. Like it's not something that you see very often coming from the regular tech industry, or like from my point of view, big tech companies type thing. So this was really awesome to see. And,
it's a lot of coordination, right, to get there?
Man, like I honestly don't even know how this thing just organically happens like that. It seems to me like a miracle. Like you're used to, having project managers and stuff manage all that, but no, this is just happening. Yep. Just engineers talking to each other, and I think it's the way to go. Honestly, I wish more people did that. Cool. So yeah. So once you implement the API, you can spin up this front end. It's really simple. You can look on the GitHub. You basically yarn start. You have this thing running locally. You plug it in to your running instance of the API. So again, a validated client or a Web3 signer or another signer. Pass the API right here. You can also pass some authentication token if you do have that. And then from here, now you have a UI that kind of connects to it. So here I have no keys connected right now. This is my local instance. It's like an empty instance, but I can go import. Let's import some stuff. So actually, I don't know if you can see this, but like I'm gonna drag and drop an entire folder of keys that I have right now. So like I drop it here, it detects, I had a bunch of files in there, but it detects which ones were valid like key store files, and asks for, so I have 3, and it asks for the passwords of each. And then you can optionally pass your slashing protection data that you had previously. If you don't, that's fine. But if you do, highly recommend that you pass that in. So like, similarly, you can drag and drop, and let me do that right now, and I can drop it here now by slashing import. And so if I don't put any password in, I just submit it like that, we're expecting that to fail. And so here it says, okay, the 3 keys you try to import didn't work, and this is why, like, we couldn't decrypt the key store. Like, okay, so now you can go back and see, okay, this is remember the password. This password. Let's do this one as well. I think, and let's leave this one off because it's fine. So now this one failed, but we got 2 imported. So now Web3 Signer has loaded these keys and are actively ready to sign anything that a validated client will ask to these keys. So from there, you can go back to the accounts, and now you see them here. And if you, so the idea is that, say you have these keys right now and you want to switch them over to another client, what you would do is you would say, okay, these 2 keys, I'm actually going to delete them. Maybe delete is a strong word. Actually, I've been thinking about it a little bit. But really what you want to do is like take them out of whatever signer you connected to and get them back for yourself and then move it somewhere else. But this is what it's called right now. So you delete them. It asks you, are you sure you want to do this? Because if you do this, it won't be used for signing anymore. And it warns you. So this is like, happy to get feedback on the wording here. I kind of just made it up. But after you delete these, you will get the exported slashing protection data for all the blocks that you've signed with these keys. And so it's important to actually grab that. But here, actually, in my local setup, I didn't set up any slashing protection data, and so it's probably empty because I haven't signed anything. So it's not going to tell me anything. But if I confirm, it's going to tell me, okay, you've deleted these guys, and if you had protection data, there will be a big blue button under here saying download your slashing protection data. You click that, and you will get a JSON file that you should keep pretty carefully. And then with that file and your 2 key stores, you can now go back to, let's do you could switch here to another endpoint and talk to a different validator. And now you can import and, do the whole thing again, basically, with your slashing protection data that you had from the step before. Hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, that's the flow we have right now. Obviously, lots of little UI things to improve. I think Paul from Teku was handling 64 different keys with 64 different passwords. You can imagine that, typing every one by one like that is super annoying. So little things that we can improve there for bigger things, but the core flow is there. And again, the magic is that, yeah, if any validator or signer implements the API as the standard was defined, this UI should work out of the box for you. And
this is very great. I like it. I like it a lot. I was thinking I just noted a few questions I had for you. Yeah. One was about the password. You just mentioned them. Sometimes people have a large amount of validators that they need to manage, and maybe they're sharing the same password. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a way to make that input simpler.
That was one of the feedback. There's a master password for everything. I could add a little UI for this. It shouldn't be too hard.
And my second question was, have you thought about maybe connecting to 2 validator clients or 2 signers and then doing the full migration path?
It's possible. It would have to be really clear in the UI so you don't mess up. From and to type thing, and then the UI would become more of a mover utility rather than a kind of manager for a single one. That's an interesting idea.
Because I feel like there's not much missing to get there.
No, actually, what I would do, I would spin up just a new repo for that, I think, and make it a little different. That's the beauty of it too, is that API is standardized like an Open API spec, and you can just go and build any front end you like on top of that. So maybe I'll keep that one as a kind of manager thing, and then spin up a new one as a what's a good name, like a migrator,
something like that. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
I gotta say, my favorite part about this is Joaquim has been doing something very different for a long time, and he suddenly like got this itch and was like, hey, look, that needs to be done. And he just hopped in and completed a project that is very valuable to all of us. And so for me, the big picture there is there are a lot of developers who have the ability to support our ecosystem if they will just take a few hours a week or maybe a side project and contribute. So I'm so glad that you came to join us. So thanks again.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to like really expand that message. Like a lot of, for a while, it was very, it's easy to be passive, and it's just like, look, like this merge is happening, or this ETH2 thing is happening. But if you dig a little deeper, you realize that there's a lot of help needed to actually keep the thing going and just make it like as polished and perfect as possible. And really, like any engineering skill could be useful. Like I'm an Android developer. Well, I knew Java. That helped to get into the Web3 designer stuff. But like I'm not a React developer or web developer, and I can do this. If someone with actual like professional React experience and like maybe a good product design eye wants to come in and be like, let me do my own front end and make it better. Like that's the beauty of open source. So start digging. There's stuff to do, and Twitter is a good place to start generally, because people talk about this stuff, but GitHub is the second best, I would say.
Thanks, Joaquim. Thanks, Superphiz. I think you're done. If you're done, we'll move to the next point. But that was a very interesting demo from your side, from what you did there. Thanks to James as well for the updates on the standardized API for all of this. I believe our next agenda item would be Superphiz, talking about like the staking UX. Superphiz, do you want to say anything on that?
So I met one of these places where normally I'm hosting these calls and I'm under like a little pressure to get everything together. And so as a participant, I'm a little more excited because I get to try some new things comfortably in a house where I'm welcome, and I don't have that same kind of pressure. So I have a bunch of notes here. I'm going to zip through them, and hopefully it's not boring. I think it's going to be good. And so I want to talk about right now, we know that centralized exchanges, large operators control about 70% of the validators on the beacon chain. That's not what we wanted to happen. It's also not the end of the world. Like, it's not terrible. The network is still secure. But really, my goal for the origin of the beacon chain was that it was going to be spread into homes. But it's not the end of the world. We have a lot of opportunity to improve that distribution. One of the problems we know is that sexes, I shouldn't call them sexes, centralized exchanges, I only read it that way, I don't say it that way. Centralized exchanges are running Prism. And we know Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, one other provider, they're running primarily Prism. And that does become a problem for all of us. Let's see, I'm just zipping through these notes. We won't incentivize validators. Okay, so people say, well, we should incentivize validators. We should incentivize proposers by giving them high rewards or giving them POAPs to get away from Prism. But by its nature, block proposals are intended to be anonymous. The only reason we can detect what they are right now are by the way that they package attestations. At any moment, they can wiggle that around, like literally change, a part of a line of code and completely throw off any of those algorithms that are trying to detect what they are. And so for that reason, we're not going to incentivize people to change. We're going to recognize the incentives in the network, which they're technically disincentives, that if you run a majority client that is slashed, you're going to have a severe penalty. So for home validators, I need to, my notes are not in order. I'm just hitting them. For home validators, you're making about $5,000 a year right now at our current prices for running a validator for home. And so that is a great incentive. That's a reason to want to run a validator from home if you have 32 Ether. Like, if you are at home now and you have 32 Ether, you can buy a NUC for $1,000. You can plug it in and essentially, I have a NUC here, you can essentially forget it. Maybe once every 6 weeks, log in and make sure it's still going. If you have notifications enabled, you can totally forget about it. You'll get notifications when there's a client update or if you miss something. And then really, like, getting it going is no big deal. But really what we need, and this is why we're here, one of the reasons we're here, we need better interfaces for users. Users are intimidated by the command line. I don't blame them. It's easy for technical people or people who have been using Linux for 10 years, or people who have a computer science degree to say, well, just hit the command line, just, suck it up and learn. But if you think about the combined knowledge, like I've been using Linux over 10 years and I still understand 1% of it. And so we should not put that expectation on home users. We have an opportunity to abstract away that difficulty from home users. And I think that as a community, we should step up to that. And so my personal goal, like, I'm not going to quit pushing on staking simplification until it is literally a one click. I want the device to look like a toaster where you plug it in and you push it down and it's staking. It sounds like a joke. I know it sounds hilarious, but it's only funny because we're so far from it right now. If we really get there, then, old people can order online, buy a device, it comes pre-configured, they plug it in at home, and they're staking from home. They're decentralizing the network. That's where I want us to get to. I want to shout out to people like Joaquim, and I think of Joe Clappis. I think of people like Colfax. These are people who just said, hey, I saw on Twitter that you guys were struggling with this, and I just wanted to reach out and see if there's any way that I can help. People contact me like that all the time, and I'm like, yes, I want your help, but I don't have time to air traffic control, and I'm sorry. So if there's something you can do, throw in your sword, start putting something together, put it on Twitter. You don't have to have an air traffic controller. You can just look around and find the need and start working on it, and that is so valuable. And so let's see.
On that note, Superphiz, I have a quick question. Like, if I'm watching this and I want to work on something, I think I have a pretty good idea. I've been paying attention to what's going on Twitter, things like that. But the barrier for me is, like, I maybe need like a little bit of funding to like get started so I can focus more on this project. Like, what's a good way to get started in that front?
Yeah, and that's fine. So everyone, I'm trying to think of the best way to frame this. We can get you money. Don't worry about money. Now, I'm not saying we have millions, but if your grant is in the $1,000 to $3,000 range, then contact me. And again, I say contact me. I have to confess, I get overwhelmed with contacts. And so really, if you go to and so please don't be offended if I don't get back with you. It's not on purpose. It's just that I have to do the things that I can in front of my face. But if you go to the eStaker Discord, you can ask questions there. But something really neat that we have coming up is I'm trying to think of the right word, a pairing with CLR grants. They are a quadratic funding system similar to what is Gitcoin. CLR is offering a tremendous grant from the EF. It's a matching grant, and I'm not ready to disclose how much, but it's a very substantial amount. What I liked to say was we can fund about 100 people, about $3,000 to work on a project, and that's kind of the target that we're looking at. We're not looking for big industry. We're looking for really people like actually everyone in this call. Like, you have the ability, you may have some extra time, and you just need a little bit of incentive. So in February, we're going to start a CLR grants round where individual developers can sign up to do one of these tasks, and the community will get to choose where those funds go by matching donations. So you'll send $1, and then maybe the CLR grant will match it $100. So I'm very excited about that. Now, let's say that that like you don't have 32 ether, but one of these magic numbers is 17.6 ether. And if you know where I'm coming from, you don't have enough for a full validator, but you still want to support the network. You have 17.6 ether. You can run as a rocket pool node operator. And it's the same hardware, it's the same setup, but you set up the rocket pool smart node. It is a very simplified setup. You answer about 3 questions. It will install a random validator for you. And then it will take your 16 ETH and your 1.6 ETH worth of rocket pool tokens and match you with other people who want to stake. Let's say I have 0.1 ether and I want to stake it. I can't run a validator, but you can trade that for our ETH, rocket pool ETH. That gets matched in a smart contract with someone who has 16 ether. All of those are bonded together and suddenly you're validating. That's another way to contribute to the network. I have about 3 more notes, just practicing these. So one of the bummers here, we know that centralized exchanges have too much control over the network. One of the things I have worked so hard to do is to maintain agency for home stakers. We have a lot of control over the network. We cannot give up and say exchanges have won. As solo operators, as home operators, we still have the opportunity to slash against those very large operators that make poor choices. We are just as powerful as them. And so what it's important to do is to get as many of those independent home operators as we can, because that really is the way the network is strengthened. We also, if you are a person who got in, who, last year you're like, oh, I want to stake, but I can't, I might as well use an exchange. And you're using that Coinbase, Kraken, Binance. I encourage you right now, contact them and pressure them to get away from or to reduce their use of Prism. You can do that. You are a client. You have a voice. Message them, ask them what they're using, ask them to reduce their use of Prism. I'm not asking anyone to get away from Prism or quit Prism. It's still a valuable client, but reduce their usage of it. Second,
and I just want to chime in here on that. It's nothing against Prism itself, and James is on the Prism team, and she's a great supporter of like everything that we're doing here, including client diversity. It's for the broader network health. We need to be decentralized, and we need to be having as close to an equal balance of different clients as possible. So this is not anti-Prism. This is pro-network decentralization.
And I've really stopped that caveat because I do love Prism, and I think anyone who knows me, well, and I guess a lot of people don't know me. I'm a friend and fan of Prism. It is a great client. We eStaker ran early Prism testnets. We ran calls to encourage people to join. But at this moment, continuing to add more Prism validators is unhealthy for the network. So that's where we're at. So as a client of one of these big service providers, right now use your voice to contact them. Secondly, when withdrawals are enabled, I want you to get away from them. And you're going to say, but this is so easy, or I'm making so much money. Get away from the large providers. Pull your funds out. If you can stake at home, I promise better tools will be available then. If not, use Rocket Pool. Rocket Pool this is not a commercial product that I'm like so excited about. This is a public good that matches people with 16 ether with people with less than 16 ether to make the network more robust. So resolve now. When withdrawals are enabled, switch to a better service. I have one more.
In the meantime, on the note of tools, we're going to be talking about a few tools that you can use now, so like Stereum, as well as EthWizard, and then we're going to also give an update about the Wagyu tool that we're building, which is all these tools are around simplifying. So you now have some GUI tools that you can use to set things up. So we'll get to that in a sec. But go for it, Superphiz.
My very last thing is, this is our network, and you may currently be a value extractor. You may be a person who says, I am doing this to get the most money. That's okay. If that's where you're at, that's fine. I would rather you be a contributor, but if you're a value extractor, be you. But the best way that you can extract value is by building a powerful and valuable network. If you have 1 ether and it's a crappy network, you're never going to be able to get big payouts. But if you have 1 Ether and you use that Ether to build capacity of the network, and Ethereum grows to be 50x what it is now, you're going to be able to extract a lot more value. So even if you think of yourself as a profiteer, as an investor, as a value extractor, or maybe you are those things and you don't know it, it's still in your best interest to promote the health of the network with all of us. So thank you for giving me a chance to try all those. I don't know if I overwhelmed, but I'm happy to have tested those thoughts.
That was great, Superphiz. Thanks so much for chiming in sort of like a comprehensive look about UX of staking and why it's important. So we really appreciate your thoughts. Maybe we should actually cut that out and have it be a separate video that we can just like have to just talk about UX of staking in a broader context.
So this is, I'm shifting my message. My message for a long time has been agency of home validators. It has been, you need to be a home validator. If you're not, you can become one. And really what I'm switching to acknowledging is that centralized exchanges have a lot of the network captured. That's not bad. The network, it still provides network capacity. It's just that now we need to operate within that acknowledgement and put pressure on those operators to be better citizens of the network.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. It's so important to talk about. So I'm glad that we could talk about it here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you too, Superphiz. I'm going to dive into sort of the segment now that we're going to be talking about some of these tools that can help you set up your validator more easily at home. I want to touch on Wagyu just for a short minute, since a lot of this stuff is still under development, but I want to give you a quick update on the Wagyu tools. I'm sharing my screen right now. As you know, last year, we launched the Wagyu key generator app, which is the key generation GUI for being able to set up your validator. It's fully audited by HashCloak and ready to use for mainnet. You can grab that at wagyu.gg. Also, you can see our GitHub is linked here, which has our releases under the Wagyu keygen page. So if you prefer to grab it right from there, you can grab it here. I'm also very excited that it's on my desktop now, so I can just click it here and create any keys. Obviously, I don't do that like all the time, but whenever I need to set up like a testnet or anything, it's all right here, and it's ready to go fully for mainnet. So yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. Let us know if you have any questions. We're working on some small enhancements for it as well, which we'll keep you posted on. So that's the Wagyu keygen tool. Now, the next one that we're now focused on is the Wagyu installer tool, which you can see here on the page is still not yet released. I want to give a little sneak preview. I don't want to go into these in too much detail. A sneak preview of the designs that we've been working on. This is a GUI that's going to be a standalone desktop GUI that installs all of your clients, very similar to what you're going to see with EthWizard in a minute, which is CLI based, but it's an installer, as well as Stereum in a little bit, which both of those are actually ready to be used right now. This is still under development, but here's some just basic designs for what it's going to look like. It's going to be a standalone Electron app. You can do some configuration here for what network. It'll do some system checks to see how your system's doing. Give you some options for clients, and a few little overview pages and some advanced configurations. So we are hard at work on this. I don't have an exact date for when we're going to be able to launch this, but we're definitely hard at work on it, and we want to make sure this is definitely available before the merge and before withdrawals are enabled. So if anybody wants to either set up a new validator now or set one up after they're able to withdraw from something that they're validating, and now they'll have it available. So again, not a good option for right now since it's not built yet, but I'm gonna pass it off actually to Remy to talk about the POAP claim, which we'll do, and then we'll hear from Stereum and EthWizard, which are two tools that are ready to use right now that significantly improve the UX of staking. So before we pass over to Stereum, Remy, can you talk about the POAP claim for today?
Yes, we have a great POAP designed by Anvetica today that we'll be giving as usual for the listeners and the watchers of the community call. To claim your POAP, you'll have to fill out a Google form. I'm pasting the link in the different chats that we have here. So just go there, fill out the form. Make sure to answer the questions about what you learned during this call honestly and with some details. That's how we figure out if you're actually watching or listening to the call. So just go there, fill out the forms, and then we'll publish another link where you'll be able to claim your POAP for today's call. So that was my my call for the POAP. I'll do the segue to Stereum now. I think we have a few updates from the Stereum team about their GUI on installing a validator machine. I believe we have the shield here. Let me see. There he is.
Hey, I'm Stefan. So also
Hi, also
Hi
here,
there.
yes, of course.
And
So I
Stefan.
just wanna go back to Superphiz, what Superphiz said. I think it's very important for the whole network and everybody who thinks just staking on exchanges just because to get some value out is I think is just thinking too short term, because everybody who runs a node strengthens the network, and if you look closely at the fees, then you are always better in running a node on your own than going with an exchange. So if you're just thinking about getting the maximum of money, then you actually should help the network, even short term. And then even if you don't have that much ether, like not even the 16 to run a rocket pool validator, there will be technologies coming up like SSV. We now see like blocks SSV testnet, which is already getting pretty good and stable already. And you can start earning SSV tokens and of course exchange them to Ethereum, to Ether, just by registering an operator. You just need to do anything except for making a smart contract call, and I guess the gas fee will be way lower than 0.1 Ether. So there are changes to chances to earn money and running a service and contributing to the network decentralization, even if you have very, very little funds. So that was just a little side note from me. Sorry to chime in there.
It's all good.
So let's talk about Stereum a bit. First of all, we will have another upkeep and uptime challenge coming up in the next, hopefully, 2 months. So we're still working out the sign-up process, and because we want to do it a little bit more foolproof and also security-wise better than we did before, so we don't get that much, let's say, POAP farmers. And other things on the Stereum 2.0 front. David, can you share your screen with some screenshots that we have?
give me a second.
So just because we are building now Stereum 2.0 doesn't mean that we don't maintain the version 1. It's still downloadable and still maintained by us. So everybody who runs Stereum 1 or just wants to try it out now, it's still maintained and updated to work with the latest clients and so on. So now we see from David's shared screen screenshots. And these screenshots are not like makeups anymore that we showed in December, I think, at the community call. These are actually, if you Electron app screenshots that we already built. And you see here, we already built a screen to connect to your server where you put in your server credentials. Everything you see is just a work in progress. So we try to make it as simple as possible, and there will be hopefully other solutions than knowing your IP and your password and everything. And we're working on some ideas on that. So you see already that you have multiple options here with the Stereum 2.0. You can do a one-click install. I think one in the YouTube chat already mentioned how to just get like a one-click installer, or was it a Superphiz already? I don't know. Anyway, we're working on this one-click installer where everything goes automatic. You just click on it, and if Stereum sets up a random client proportional to to the client distribution that we know of. So it's most likely not Prism setting up. Although also I want to emphasize Prism is a very good client. You should definitely stick with something else. Custom installation allows you to just drag and drop the services you like. So with Stereum 2, you will be able to just run one service that you want to run on your node. And of course, it's possible to import the configuration. This is also possible with the current Stereum 1 version, but we're working on making it more comfortable and even more, how to put it, more convenient for people, also to migrate to a new node, and maybe also choosing right away at the import of the configuration a different client. Is there more screenshots?
Currently not, no.
Okay, perfect. So in the future, we will have also a screen where you can drag and drop the services you want to install. It's not like you have no choice anymore, or you're stuck with the current setup. We want to enable people to switch to other clients as fast and easy as possible. And I think with a simple drag and drop interface where you just click on your new client you want to run and install it with ease and just migrate the keys should be the future. So the backend is already also in development, so we saw already the front end, but what I can't show you because it's only automated tested is the backend. We are already heavily relying on heavy tests, on heavy automated tests, and we are already able to spin up nodes with the Stereum 2.0 code. So it shouldn't take long, and we have something that we actually can get a demo out of. Thank you.
That's great. That's awesome. Thanks, Stereum.
I'm so in love with Stereum. It's so funny. Like David and Stefan like messaged me 50 times in the beginning, and I was like, I cannot believe this product. It's too good to be true. I don't know what these guys are actually up to. And they didn't stop. They were like, but wait, we're really doing this. And it's so great. When we checked it out, it was like, it really is everything that they purported to be. So I really hope when you guys launch 2.0 that you get some marketing, because it's so hard for any of us to get these messages out. We're just a bunch of nerds talking. And our stuff needs marketing. It needs like these actual firms who do this stuff to get people to find out what's going on. But I wanted to thank you for being so persistent and working so hard on a public good.
Thank you very much. That are very kind words and also motivating words for us. But on the PR side, yes, we're working on some new stuff. So to get to a broader audience and get our message out, and also get our product more visible for newcomers who try to set up a node in an easy way.
I totally agree. Really awesome stuff, guys. And it's so great having you guys here in these calls sort of showcase your updates and taking feedback and implementing it. It's really amazing. So keep it up.
I love what the Stereum team is doing. You guys are doing great work. I'll do the segue to the next point would be, I think, EthWizard. I'll talk briefly about what's happening there. There was a small update recently. Nothing major, some bug fixes and better test on the Windows sides, and some prep work for the maintenance part of EthWizard. So one of the next step for EthWizard is adding a little more features on the maintenance part, especially on client updates, right? So the next step will have automated client updates and checks for all of those. So that's what is going to be coming up with EthWizard, which is a project I've been working on my own. But like, if anyone wants to help me with that, if you guys think it's cool, if you want to get involved, maybe you could clone the repo. It's open source. Do some pull requests, and I'll be happy to check those out as well. So maybe the next point would be to talk about the Kingsugi tutorial video. So as part of EthStaker, we did some tutorial videos on how to install a Kingsugi node. I did that with Superphiz recently. I don't know if we have the link to that on the Discord or on YouTube. Maybe we could put the link there, or I'll do that after the call. But in any case, if you want to spin up your own Kingsugi node, you can easily do that following the video tutorial. It follows the guide I created for that. And like, you can have the written form, you can have the video form, and we want to do more of those. Like, we want to do more of the less known clients combos. As you know, after the merge, you'll have to use a execution client with a consensus client. There's a good number of combos you could try. We initially went with Lighthouse and Geth, but those are somewhat popular. We'd like to do more videos on less known clients. And like, if you want to do a guide on how to use, I don't know, like Besu with Teku or something, that'd be great. And maybe we could do a video using your guide. We did a call on Twitter, and I believe we have one guy who is talking about doing something like this. Just get in touch with us. We would love to do more of those, like how to set up your own node to test the merge, right? Because the merge is coming, if you didn't know. And the clients are doing updates on that, and we're getting ready to get there. So I think that's it for the Kingsugi stuff. I don't know if we have any other questions or item on the agenda.
I point a thing out. So you're talking about encouraging people to do guides and videos. As I mentioned, we're beginning a grants round in February. And so if you're a person who wants to maximize your return on that grants round, it helps to begin now laying the groundwork. So show people that you will do those tutorials, that you're capable of it, and that you have a good product. And once people see that, like, oh, wow, Mike 796 creates really great videos. It actually, let's say Samaras thoughts. People know he's going to create great content, and they want to give him money to do that. So if you lay that groundwork now, if you create Kingsugi tutorials now and create videos now, when it's time for that grants round, people are going to swarm to you because they know you can do it and they want to promote your work.
I totally agree. That's a great call out there. So I guess we'll wrap things up now. A couple of people in the YouTube chat are noticing that we can't post the links super well. So if you guys want links to any of the projects, we post them in the Discord. That's how do we get to the EthStaker Discord? Is it discord.io/EthStaker?
I think that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
it.
So jump on over to the EthStaker Discord and the Stakehouse channel. You'll see all the links. We'll work on a better way to post links on YouTube for next time, but you should be on the EthStaker Discord anyway. Thank you everyone for coming out today. Thank you for all the presentations. Everybody watching, but especially everybody presenting. Super great call. If you are either watching or if you participated today and you want to be a part of the next one, we'll be putting together the agenda over the next few weeks. It'll be somewhere in mid to late February. And we are excited to keep this going. If you happen to be watching on YouTube and you want to present or share some ideas too, please reach out to me. I'm Colfax1983 on Discord or Remy. You'll see, or really any of the mods on the EthStaker Discord, just shoot us a message and we'll get you plugged in. And yeah, thanks again. One last super quick thing. I'll be at ETH Denver. I think a lot of us are. So we will try and do some fun stuff at ETH Denver together. So hopefully anybody else who's going to be at ETH Denver, we can all meet up in person. I don't know exactly how we're going to coordinate that stuff, but I'm sure we'll find a way. So come to ETH Denver if you're not, and if you are, we'll see you there.
Yep.
Thanks again, Remy. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks
Have a good
everyone
one.
Thanks for having us. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.